Hello everyone, this is my midpoint conversation for the FEC project. My group worked on the Airbnb website, and my specific module in this project was the photo gallery that displayed all of the photos of a listing. Um, so one real um, issue that I encountered when doing this project was sort of understanding how the positional attribute works on div elements. Previously, I had noticed that like occasionally I would see like a parent div that wouldn't properly wrap its children. It would have like a zero area, and I never really understood why. But when looking at this project, I was able to understand. I was able to realize that it's because of the positional parameter that sort of the area of parent divs can be like altered. And I was able to understand why, because now I realize that these divs are sort of being removed from the page where now a user can still see it, but the rest of the page can't really interact with it. And I got to see how different like CSS features sort of interact with this positional parameter, like such as flexbox, where for absolute divs, you're still able to like center them or float them to either side of the page, but you can't use features like space between or space around because the page doesn't really know what the exact area of this div is now that has been removed from the page. So another sort of something that I gained from this project was sort of by understanding like the importance of like these positional parameters. I sort of became more mindful of like what type of units I'm going to be using when setting up a page, and how important it is to create a page that, if you just slightly change the height or the width of the viewport, the whole layout doesn't just break. And it really made me mindful of like different like sort of units like EMs, percentages, and sort of trying to stay away from sort of absolute measurements like pixels, inches, and centimeters. And I feel like that really helped improve my development growth in how I develop a page and what sort of things I look at when developing a page. One thing I sort of wish, well, I'm going to hope to optimize in my code later on, was when creating the sort of React hierarchy for the page, I hadn't really thought it out completely prior to starting. So I had like a general idea of how these pages were going to interact with each other, but I was sort of like adding more pages on as I needed them. And I feel like I would benefit a lot more from sort of fully mapping out how the data is being passed through a page so that I can use the most efficient method of storing data so that there's no excess fat stored on the page, essentially. Um, I guess I'll talk about this. One more sort of issue that I ran into when working on my project was, well, not issue, but I kind of learned about this let feature of ES6. So first, when adding like event listeners onto my page, I was iterating through like a query, like a document get elements by class name or something like that, and I would iterate through them, and I would add an event listener on each element, and I was running into this error where for some reason it was only being added to the last the last element in the list, and I realized that sort of like, because previously I'd been working with iterative loops and recursive loops so closely, I was sort of merging concepts between them, and I didn't realize that every iteration in a for loop is still technically exists within the same uh, execution context. So even though I'm iterating over a new element, now when I reassign a variable, it's going to basically take away the variable that existed previously. So sort of using that let allowed me to sort of add like a recursive sort of feature to my iterative loops. And I feel like understanding that not only just like helped me with this specific feature, but it really helped me understand more closely about the execution context and how it works in respects to the for loops. Yeah, and I think that's about it. All right, thanks. Bye.